Hi friends, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel on research updates and myself Dr. B. Senthil Kumar. In this video, you are going to see about abstract writing. First, we'll start with an overview. The presentation includes what is an abstract, what are all the types of abstracts, various forms of abstract, the application of abstracts, importance of abstracts, the do's and don'ts that you have to remember while preparing an abstract, and finally we will see the checklist which you have to remember while preparing the abstract. With this brief overview, we move on to the abstract writing. What is an abstract writing? An abstract is the most essential element of every work, either it is a thesis, dissertation or any other work. The abstract gives a concise view or a brief description of a larger project, and it is powerful, short and independent declaration that describes the enormous scope of your paper. Okay, when we have to start writing an abstract, either at the beginning or after the work is done. So always remember, write the abstracts at the very end when you have completed your research or your publication work or your text. So always prepare your abstract at the end. And while preparing the abstracts, you have to remember the 5 things which has to be included in your abstract. To start with the first one, introduction or the background. In this, you have to explain what was done earlier in other studies. So this should be given very briefly. Coming on to the second is your research problem and the objectives. Here you have to tell why did you do the research or the project. The third is a method. In the method, you have to explain how did you do the study or the research. The fourth one is the results. In this, you have to explain in detail what did you find, the most important findings. And finally, the last one is the conclusion. In conclusion, you have to tell why are these findings useful and important. So all these 5 things should be included in an abstract. Now let us see the various types of abstract. There are 4 types of abstracts. To start with, the first one is descriptive abstract, the second one is informative abstract, the third is critical abstract, and the fourth is highlight abstract. So when you see the descriptive abstract, it explains the purpose, goal and the methods, whereas informative abstract, it gives you the overview of the research. The critical abstract, work being discussed to the writer's own research, whereas the highlight abstract, it mainly focuses to attract the reader's mind towards your work. And now let us see each one of these abstract types one by one with an example. First we will start with the descriptive abstract. So what is this descriptive abstract? It is an outline of the work, as it is primarily only describes the problem and the method. Usually it is very short, which will be less than 100 words. What has to be included in a descriptive abstract? It includes purpose of the work, methods used and the scope of the work. So these 3 things has to be included in a descriptive abstract. And what should not be included? Results, conclusions and recommendations should not be included in a descriptive abstract. So remember this, descriptive abstract is an abstract which you start before a project is completed. Usually all the conference papers, proposals or the progress report abstracts will be in the descriptive abstract format. You cannot make out any judgment about the work that is done in the research or the paper. So reader will probably have to read the document to see if it is relevant. So that is about the descriptive abstract. Now let us see an example for this descriptive abstract. So this is an example of a descriptive abstract. Here I have given you an abstract of one of my project, which includes the four important headings: background, objectives, methods, and the outcome. So all these four has to be included in a descriptive abstract. Please note, remember always, the results and conclusions will not be there in a descriptive abstract. So only the four things has to be included, that is the background, objectives, methods used, and the outcome or the scope of your project. So this is an example for your descriptive abstract. Now let us move on to the second type of abstract. The second type of abstract is called as informative abstract. Most of the abstracts written in academic writings are informative abstract. It is always written after a project has been completed, and it is fairly short, which will be around 200 words or sometimes to a page or more. What has to be included in an informative abstract? Objectives of the work, the methods used, scope of the work, and finally you have to include results, conclusion, and recommendations. So these are the things has to be included in an informative abstract. Always remember, this informative abstract, it communicates the content of the document so that the reader may not need to read the document. So it gives you the entire gist of a project or a research. So that is your informative abstract. Now let us see an example for an informative abstract. This is one of my publication which includes an informative abstracts. It includes background, aim and objectives, materials and methods, results, and finally conclusions. So all this has to be covered in an informative abstract. So you start with an introduction, research problem or the objectives, and then tell the methods, discuss the results, and finally end up with the conclusion. So this is how an informative abstract should be prepared. And next we move on to the third type of abstract, which is called as critical abstract. What is a critical abstract? In addition to describing the study's main findings and the information, a critical abstract provides some judgment or the comment about the study validity, reliability, and the completeness. The researcher also compares the research work with other works on the same subject. It is the most extended type of abstract due to its interpretative commentary, and it can be of 400 to 500 words. So remember, critical abstract gives you the study validity, reliability, and completeness. Now let us see an example for a critical abstract. So this is an example taken from one of the publication where you have a critical abstract. So it gives you a comparison with the other research done in the same field or in the same subject. With the other findings of the researcher, you will compare your own work, and that is called as critical abstract. The fourth type of abstract is called as highlight abstract. An abstract written to attract the reader's mind towards your work is called as highlight abstract. It must be very precise and attractive. That is the most important thing in highlight abstract, so that they can easily catch the reader's attention. As the name suggests, it must include the highly important points which you want to highlight in your work. So whenever you are writing an highlight abstract, the most important point should be highlighted, which will be helping for the attraction of the readers towards your research work. Always remember, it helps to increase the discoverability of the article via the search engines. So whenever a researcher want to work in a particular topic or a particular field, when they go and search with the keywords, this highlight abstracts of yours will be highlighted because you have added up all the important points in a precise and attractive manner. And always remember, this highlight abstract cannot stand on an independent of the article. So it cannot stand alone, it always linked with the article. And it won't be giving the complete picture of the paper. That is also one of the important thing. It just gives an outline with the highlighted points. And that is also one of the drawback of your highlight abstract. So let us see an example for an highlight abstract. So here you can see an highlight abstract. So here you can see the dangers of the cell phone on different organs. So this is a highlight abstract which gives the dangers of the cell phone pertaining to salivary glands, brain and the eye, breast cancer, infertility as well as other health risk. So we have seen up the 4 types of abstract, starting with descriptive, informative, critical and highlight. The most commonly used abstract is in academic, it is informative abstract. Sometimes for writing your research proposals or for conference papers, we use descriptive abstracts. Critical abstracts, highlight abstracts are used very rarely. Critical abstracts are used for writing a critique of an article or your publication or a work done by a researcher. Whereas highlight abstract, some of the databases specifically asking this highlight abstract so that the publication or the research work will be highlighted when it is published. Coming on to the formats of abstract. There are 2 formats of abstract. One is called as unstructured abstract and the other one is called as structured abstract. In unstructured abstract, it is formatted as a single paragraph with block formatting and no indentations. Whereas in structured abstract, it is divided into 5 parts starting with introduction, objective, methods, results and conclusion. Let us see an example for each of this type of abstracts. Unstructured abstract. This is an example for an unstructured abstract taken from one of my publication, where you can see the abstract. Where you can see the unstructured abstract, which will be not having specifically the headings of introduction, materials, methods, results, conclusion. It is just a paragraph, gives you an idea about a particular topic. Whereas in structured abstract, I am giving you an example for a structured abstract. This is also one of my publication, where you have the structured abstract includes background, aim and objective, materials and methods, results, conclusion. These are the 5 headings which has to be covered up in a structured abstract. So when we come to the formats of abstracts, there are 2 formats. One is unstructured and the other one is structured. Unstructured, we just put it in a paragraph about a topic or about a work, whereas in structured abstract, we split it up into 5 headings starting from background, objectives, materials, methods, results and conclusion. So these are the 2 formats of abstracts. And now let us see what are all the applications of abstract. Submitting articles to journals, we usually write a publication abstract. Applying for research grants, we will be writing a project abstract. When you write a book and then give a proposal, we usually send to the publishers a book proposal abstract. In case of PG dissertation, PhD or MPhil thesis, we write an abstract at the very beginning, which is nothing but thesis or dissertation abstract. When you write a proposal for a conference paper, that abstract is called as conference abstract. So these are the various abstracts. Now let us see one by one. First, to start with a publication abstract. In publication abstract, it should summarize a whole study and it also should be written according to the journal's requirement. So the word limit and the format which the journal wants it to be, and it has to be strictly followed while writing the publication abstract. After the title, the abstract decides the quality of your paper. So always remember, you design the publication abstract carefully. The potential referees sees to review a manuscript, and your publication abstract talks about your research to the referees. It encourages the researchers to read your full paper. So you have to design your abstract in such a way that it attracts the readers to read your full paper. For a review writing, abstract alone is useful. So if suppose you are writing a review article, you can take only the abstract of other publications, and from that abstract itself you should be able to write a review. So you have to write an abstract in such a way that the abstract alone will be enough to give you the entire gist or the idea about a research or a paper. Also remember, in all the indexing databases such as Web of Science or the PubMed, your abstract is published. So this is an example for publication abstract taken from one of my publication. So it gives you the entire idea about a paper with a background, aim, methods, results and the conclusion. And always remember, while preparing a publication abstract, it should stand alone and it should give the entire gist of your research work. And don't make it so elaborate, make it crisp so that the key points are covered in your abstract. Coming on to the second type, that is project abstract. In the project abstract, it gives you the objective, problem statement and the research questions are stated. The methodology is briefly explained. In the project abstract, you cannot give a result or a conclusion because you have not done the study yet. So before starting a study, when you are giving a project abstract, and that project abstract will have only a background and the research problem or the objectives with the methods and the outcomes. So only these has to be covered in a project abstract. The next is book proposal format. This book proposal format, you have to briefly explain about your book, uniqueness of your book and how it helps the readers and highlights of the book. So all these has to be included in a book proposal abstract when you are sending it to a publisher for publishing your book. So here is an example for one of my book publication which gives you a very crisp and short book proposal format or an abstract. Coming on to the next, thesis or dissertation abstract. So in this thesis or dissertation abstract, you have to include the context, objective, methodology, important results and the conclusions. Finally, any recommendations or suggestions for future research are also mentioned in the thesis or dissertation abstract. It's almost like structured abstract. Coming on to the conference abstract writing. So all these abstracts, remember that it will be published in the conference proceedings. The abstracts can be understood by someone without prior knowledge of your topic, so it should be standing alone without much detail of the research. It allows the conference organizers to decide if the topic of your project is relevant to the conference. Here is an example of one of my conference abstract. So in this you can make out, it gives you all the details about the research work starting from a brief introduction, methods, results and the conclusions. Usually conference abstract will be a structured abstract. And next we will see what and all you have to avoid while writing an abstract. Always remember, you have to focus your abstract towards reader. So I have given the mnemonics reader. So the reader mnemonics includes repetition of the title should not be there in your abstract. E for elaborated background information is not necessary. A for acronym or abbreviations or all accessory informations or adding informations that is not in your original work or not needed, including acknowledgement or not needed in an abstract. D for detailed methods, like statistical methods and the results need not to be included in an abstract. Excessive claim should not be included, and finally reference should not be included in an abstract. So, all the 6 things should not be included in abstract, and try to avoid all the 6 things. So, remember the reader, R for repetition, E for elaborated background or information, A for abbreviations, accessory informations and adding informations, acknowledgements, D for detailed methods, E for excessive claim, and R for references. So, these things 6 things has to be avoided in your abstract. And now let us see what makes a good abstract. Remember, always your abstract should be crisp. Your abstract should be crisp. C for concise and connected, R for recommendations for future research if possible can be included, I for individuality, S for structured, and P for purpose. So, your abstract should be always crisp, concise, recommendations, individuality, structured, and purpose of the abstracts are included. How do I write an abstract? First, reread your paper or report for an overview. First, get an idea about your paper after you complete your research work. Then condense all the information that you have gathered into 1 or 2 sentences. Ensure that the major points are covered in your papers so that important points are not missed out. Key points outlined, descriptive or informative abstracts. So, all the key points has to be outlined well. Finally, rewrite it for reducing the word length and the sentences. And at last, check out the flow and the continuity of your abstract. So, this is how you have to write an abstract, starting from an overview, condense it, then ensure that major points are covered up and the key points are outlined, and rewrite it further to reduce the word length and the sentences, and finally check out the flow and the continuity of your abstract. So, this is how an abstract should be written. Coming on to the checklist for writing an abstract, title and the author and the presenter detail should be mentioned in the abstract. Types of abstracts should be always remembered, either descriptive or informative. Depending on the purpose, you have to choose the type of the abstract. Similarly, format of the abstract, either structured or unstructured, depending on the purpose. The context, background or the introduction should be briefly given. Aim, objectives, problem statement and or research questions are stated well. The methodology briefly described. Important results are summarized. Main conclusions are stated. Any recommendations or suggestions for future research if needed can be mentioned. Always remember the word count limit when you are preparing your abstract. And the final important thing is your abstract should stand alone. So, when an abstract is read, the entire idea about the research work should be obtained by the researcher. That is very important. And this checklist, please remember before you prepare your abstract. And here are some of the facts to remember while preparing an abstract. For publication abstract, remember it will be usually informative type and structured format, whereas a project abstract it will be descriptive and the format is unstructured. Book proposal abstract, it will be also descriptive and unstructured. Thesis, dissertation abstracts are informative type and structured. Conference abstracts are informative type and the format is structured. So, these are the important facts which you have to remember while writing an abstract. Depending on the purpose of the abstract, you have to choose the type of your abstract and the format of your abstract. And always remember the guidelines given by the journals or the conference organizers when you are sending your abstract. So, thank you all so much for watching my video. Like the video, share the video with your friends and subscribe to my YouTube channel on research updates. Thank you all. See you all in the next video.